friends. Welcome, welcome. I see some of my clients. I see some of our friends. I see some people have taken other classes like LES and others. Super excited to have everybody here. I think everybody has filed in. Right, Stephen?
Yeah, pretty much
Perfect.
everybody.
Perfect. So I wanted to start the process. I think we're gonna start now. It's 3:04, and super excited to be able to have this class come on, this little workshop. And this is the first time we're doing this workshop, so we would love to actually have your feedback afterwards. But this came out of a couple of my clients. Make sure I'm happy here. A couple of my clients asking me, okay, like I have this Gust profile for San Diego Angel Conference, or I have this profile for F6S, which a lot of accelerators use, and I don't really know what to put in it. And I usually am like, okay, so let's go through it and see how this is. And you should be thinking about it this way. You should be thinking about it this way. And this is how an investor sees a profile. And I'm like, I'm repeating myself over and over and over again. So I said, you know what? We're just going to do a workshop on it. So I'm going to run through what typically I see in Gust profiles and what the do's and don'ts, some of like the Gust 101. And then also two very important little slides that I have is that be in the investor's shoes, right? Seeing like, why does this profile have this? And what am I trying to communicate to that investor? And lastly is three kind of characteristics that you should be conveying in your profile. I know it's like super detailed of like, I need to have this in my profile. I need to have this, but what is it truly that you're trying to communicate? So hopefully this is going to be great for you. If you have any questions, put things in the chat. I'm going to stop along the way and ask if people have questions, but I'm going to kind of plow through. It's about like a couple of slides and give you some examples, and then just kind of be open to questions and seeing where we can workshop maybe one profile. If somebody wants to go through one of their profiles, I'm all up for that too. So if you want me to review publicly, because it's recorded, and that other people in the room will see it, I'm cool with that if you're cool with that, but that will be at the end. So if you are willing and able to do it, think about it as we go through the workshop. So let me share my screen here. I want to make sure I'm already here. Obviously, I'm not here. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. Yes, here it is. I'm like, where did it go? I just had it open. Wonderful. So I'm going to share my screen and go through this presentation that I created on really tips for creating great profiles and investor connection platforms. And I'm focusing on Gust just because we do have the San Diego Angel Conference going on right now. And whoever did apply for the San Diego Angel Conference, you do have until about February 2, 3, 4 to be able to update your profile. So it's just at the nick of time to get you all ready to go. And this is recorded, so hopefully whoever's hearing it, we're going to be really focused on Gust. And but the same process, the same thought process will be for any of the investor connection platforms like F6S, like AngelList, like Seraph. I've worked through multiple different platforms over the years that went bust. Startups do go bust, and kind of from that thought process, I created this. So who am I? I'm Dr. Sylvia Ma. I am a Brink SBDC consultant. I'm also managing partner of a fund, Stella Impact Capital, have raised about 5 different accelerators. So I've kind of been doing this for a while, and I am an investor with I have to update that 150 plus companies in my portfolio. And what's important on the Gust side of it, and what we're talking about today, is I was the fund manager of Fund 1 at SDAC, San Diego Angel Conference, and I've been a co-fund manager for Funds 2 through 6 with fantastic co-fund managers, fund managers all the way through. And we talk about how do we communicate the value of an entrepreneur through the platform that you use, so we use that so that investors can make the right decisions in the fund. So it's been really interesting to be able to walk through the last couple of years. How do we really tweak the platform, and how do we talk to entrepreneurs to show up in their best ways on the platform. So I'm taking all of that and putting it into this presentation. I'm also on the board of the Angel Capital Association, and we talk about these things all the time. How do you syndicate? How do you communicate value from an entrepreneur to investor? How do you convince other investors to invest in this, set of entrepreneurs that are on a platform? It's the same sort of thought process at that level. So really great conversations. So let's just jump right in. The first thing I wanted to start off with is that why is this important, right? When you're in the profile, when you're trying to fix something of a profile, you might get frustrated. It's like, why is that so important? Why do I have to put in my pitch deck? Why do I have to give all of these documents? Gosh, it's so ornery and all that. Really, and I spelled that right, tremendous, sorry about that. It's really about building trust. It's the most valuable currency in the investment world between investors and entrepreneurs. So if you're working through a platform to be able to convince an investor to invest in you, it's about convincing them that you have a great company, that you are the founder to do it, but you're building trust between all of the stakeholders in this platform. So I wanted to kind of start with that, and I have a little acronym I always use is tremendous reciprocity between you and us, with sincerity and transparency. So that tremendous reciprocity is like, yes, we ask you for a lot of information, but we wanted to be able to make the best investment decision as investors. So we want you to have this tremendous sharing of information. And if we ask you for more information, it's not like, oh my gosh, these angels are asking me for more information, or why do I have to do all these financials? It's because that reciprocity is super important. Because we're giving you a check, you need to give us information. Between you and us, it's connections, is networks, it's connecting of people who want to make an impact and want to make a good investment to others like you that want to make an impact and who want to make also money alongside investors. So it's a really great thing of you and us with sincerity and transparency. So sincerity is, if you are an early stage company, own it. Don't say, hey, we have this much amount of revenue, when you really don't. That's the sincerity part. You don't want to say, hey, I have an MVP that has been put through a trial of, let's say, a clinical trial, but you actually have an MVP that you just tested with one of your BFFs. That's the sincerity that we want as investors. Say exactly where you are, and that's okay. Some investors invest earlier, some investors invest later. So that's important. And the transparency piece is when you do your pitch video, when you provide information about your bio, it's a transparency of this is who we are. We have had a career this way. The transparency of let's say, founders, the transparency of we have these advisors that are really breathing life into us and really helping us leapfrog our company forwards. That's transparency, as opposed to just slapping on some advisors that you never have connectivity to, you never talk to them, but you're slapping them on. And that's a little bit of sincerity too, but that transparency of oh yeah, they're on the deck and don't ask me about it. No, the transparency is how many times do you meet with them? How do they help you? So building trust is your prime focus when you're creating let's say a profile in any of these platforms. So let's go into the tactical pieces, the Gust profile 101. That's kind of what I called it really simply. And I'll go through a couple of these. I think it's 3 slides on this profile 101. And then we'll see some examples. So there's a couple of pieces of this profile. There's a slogan underneath your company name that needs to be succinct and catchy. The reason for that, it doesn't have to be overproduced. But if you look at your profile, the first thing that they see is your name and this little slogan. So some people might see name, slogan, video in the first pass of a application process, and you want them to know the industry, maybe the impact that you want to do, so they have something that they can grab onto and remember you for. Number 2 is description. So there's another little section that has the description of the company. Enough information, 2 to 3 sentences, to communicate competitive advantage. So this is one step further from a promotional slogan to say this is kind of what we do in a very easy way. Sometimes I see value propositions. We are this company that serves this demographic that gives this benefit for this impact, right? You can do something like that that's very succinct and allows somebody to grab that information and be like, okay, I understand it. Now I can see the video. I can actually pass them on to a quarterfinal round. If they don't see all of those two things back to back in one piece on the Gust profile, they're going to be like, I don't even know what this is all about. So be very, when you're looking at it, be very critical on like, am I giving them enough information to know what I do? Yes, you probably do. Okay, then you move on. The entrepreneur and team is another kind of section of Gust, is provide information about all the executive team members. Sometimes in Gust profiles and other profiles, the founder goes in, he or she fills out the information, and there's no information about the team members, but in the pitch deck, there are. So the more that you can fill out who is the team, that would be fantastic, because the awareness of the investor is that how I make decisions, about 80% of the decisions are on that founder, right? Can that founder manage all the peaks and valleys of being a startup founder? Can they make decisions for the design of the product, for the market that they're going after, and the customers that they're going after? I would highly recommend to build out profiles for each team member. They can go on, create a profile on Gust, so that, you know, there's information there that actually shows that you care about the process. You're not just like slapping things together. We're done. It's good enough. Let's move on. Oh, wow. They really cared about this and they had everybody fill it out. Then the last thing is on this little piece is the video. Catchy, personable, get to know the founder, right? So the founder or the team and what you're doing. So it's typically like a minute and a half. Whatever the angel group wants you to do, you keep on that, let's say, parameter, because if they want a 2-minute pitch and you give them a 6, there's going to be some investors that just stop at the 2-minute. They're like, we told you to. You did not do what we told you to do, and we're going to cut you off and just see that. Other ones be like, watch the whole thing, but they're like, this was really long. I didn't really get that much information about it. The reason why they're giving you a 2-minute or 3-minute, whatever it is, time frame is because they know that that's the critical amount of time that their investment group needs to make the decision. So it's not just like, oh, we're going to say it's 2 minutes. It's actually, there's a reason behind it. So work alongside that decision. I've seen 1,001 videos on these things. So the ones that don't do very good are the ones that have voiceovers and just a pitch deck, right? And let's say some I've seen them with just a pitch deck being like automated throughout a video with just like music in the background. No bueno, right? So no voiceovers either of, let's say, a pitch deck going through, show your face, right? That's that transparency piece of building that trust, is that I want to see that founder be able to give the presentation. So those are the two, like, no, please do not do that. And this is the first thing that investors see typically when reviewing a lot of applications. So realize that that's what they're seeing. And typically, especially at STAC, for the ones that are like maybe the new investors, we say to them as experienced investors, go look at a couple of pitches and see, how are you feeling? Do you feel like you can evaluate it? Evaluate 10 of them. And they're only going to look at the videos and be like, okay, can I make a decision on moving forwards? If it's a bad video, if the description is not good enough, they just can't make the decision, even if they want to look at your pitch deck, because they're like, I can't even evaluate this. 0, right? I don't even want to put them forwards, because either they feel like you didn't make the effort to do it, or that, you know, they don't know, somebody doesn't know how to share their competitive advantage. But if you do a great video, a great description, they're like, wow, they know exactly what they're going after. I would like to actually learn more about this company. That's all you want them to do. You want them to go further on, click on your pitch deck, click on the documents, and be able to see all the beauty that you give to them. But if you stop them up front, that's just a disservice to yourself. So I'm going to stop here. If anybody has any questions, I want to kind of see if anybody do a gut check at 3:18 if anybody has any questions, and I'll give you some examples of the good ones of this one little bit of section. Yeah, go ahead. You're on mute.
Thank you. Every time, right? We do
It's
it every
okay. It's
time.
okay. It's all
Thank
good.
you.
We're
Good to see
here.
you. Thanks for the information. I have a question. If you know that your executive team is missing something, just put that in there, or
But what do you mean
are your
by
thoughts?
that? Like, that you're missing an executive team member, like a CTO or something like that?
Yeah. Like if you contract out, so I contract out a CTO, I contract out finances.
Yeah.
So what are your recommendations?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, if you I know you very well, so that's why I'm like thinking about what you have is that, let's say the profiles that are on the platform, you're probably not going to ask your fractional CFO, CTO to go on there. But if it's like you and another co-founder, right, or somebody who's really tied into the company, I would say both of you should have a profile and be able to click easily. I'll show you what I mean. And then on the pitch deck or the video, you showcase you have a CTO, you have a CFO, and you could say fractional, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
fractional in the pitch deck. So that goes back to that transparency. I'm being transparent.
Perfect.
Some people even don't like to put contractors in a pitch deck. It's up to you, right, to do it. If you have like 20 contractors that give you like 2 hours a week, I wouldn't probably do that. I would be like, hey, if I have the C-level position filled and they're doing a great job and I can leverage that, I would, but I wouldn't want them to be responsive on the profile, on
Right.
the platform. Sorry.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much. That's exactly what I
Yeah.
needed.
Let me show one example from that, just so that everybody kind of knows. And Stephen, can you just make sure that I am showcasing the right Gust profile? Are you seeing me change my stuff here?
No, I think you have to reshare your screen.
Okay, no problem. That's what I wanted to ask. Okay, perfect. I'll do this then. So this was a company, Shunya, that was a couple of years ago. I can't remember, right? Oh, Stack 4. And what she had is that, let's go back to the overview here. Great overview, right? So company name, Shunya Digital. It's a seed stage company. Here, Shunya Kids is a game-based multilingual platform that focuses on early literacy with equity. Right. So that's a little bit more wordier than I can't go back and forth in different things. And another one that we're going to look at right now. But she has here, Shunya Kids is a game-based multilingual app focused on teaching early literacy and math built with a focus on diversity, equity, inclusion, and popular in public schools. So really easy to understand this. What I would say is that real estate is super important on these platforms, because if they're just going to see this right here, the top piece and the description and the video, this piece, Shunya Kids is a game based and Shunya Kids is a game based, I would have changed that. I would have been like, hey, let's try to see if we can do like a visionary like slogan at the top, and then really have the description say something not completely different, but something that's different than the top one. So that's what I would recommend here. But what I did like was that Rashi, she's amazing. She's a founder, fantastic woman. What she did with her team here is that she had here Rashi, and then I think that he did not fill out the profile, right? But she had the information here. Andrew's her director of engineering, and she was able to add this information, Mary and Phoebe. So this unconfirmed means that they did not like put their profile all the way. I can't remember what it was, why it says that, but basically she filled this out so that when you're seeing this, you see the overview, you see the team, you see the executive summary, you see all these things instead of having to go to the pitch. Look how many times I have to click pitch. I have to look at the deck. I have to go down. I have to look, okay, where is the team? Where is the team? Where's the team? Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see. This is seconds later. I'm like, okay, where's the team? Okay, boom. I don't know. Where are they? It's so far down. Oh my gosh. Okay, there they are. Okay, great. Perfect. So now I can see them. Yes, they're the director. Everything's the same. And that it's the same as what you put in the team. So that's one thing I'm going to talk about a little bit later, is that it has to be same all the time. Like if you have these 4, or if you have 2 make sure that whatever you put someplace else is the same, right? So the team here is all of these people. You see that? So that is the congruency, the transparency, the sincerity that the team is the same, but I can really easily see on the profile view, right, that I can go back and forth all the way over here. And then here it's like the advisors and previous investors. She wanted to put Tech Coast Angels Fund here. And then, of course, Stacy Penna, Six Dragonflies was here. So she wanted to say, hey, these are the previous investors. She's using the profile for her advantage, right? Because if you go this route, you can actually get more information than just look at the pitch deck, right? So I really liked how she had it here. Questions about team, and I'll go on to the next example. Okay. I will go on to the next example. This is wonderful. Let me just see. I'm giving an example of the slogan. This was, of course, my favorite year, Fund One. I was a fund manager, loved my job. And this was AquaCycle who won, right? The pitch competition. So really excited. And she has a slogan of sanitation and water for all. That's like very visionary. That's very much like aspirational. And I love that. And then it's like, okay, AquaCycle provides on-site wastewater treatment at operating expenses that are 30 to 65% lower than current practices. About this company, this is kind of cool. And her, even though her pitch is six minutes, I think we augmented this later on to like put a pitch that was longer because she was speaking at like the UN or something like that. So we changed it to showcase that. But very interesting, very nice example of that she's speaking from a podium. That is one way you can do it. But then of course, when you look at the team right here, she only has herself, but she has these advisors over here. So this is a very sparse one, right? That if I was trying to convince an investor like Shunya, I would want to build out who is my team, because I want them to be easily accessible, right? I'm going to go into it a little bit further along, is that it depends on how far you want to get into, let's say, the process of SDAC. So if you just say, hey, I just want to get to quarterfinalists, because I'm then not going to pitch my 3-minute, then I want to get to the quarterfinalists. Maybe you want to have something that's a really great deck. Really great video description to get you so that people can see you quickly, and then you're going to fix the rest of it later. That's okay, right? It's your decision. I'm going to stop share and then go back. Any questions while I flip back to the presentation? I'm going to go through the next part of the let's see. Give me a second. I had this all. There we go. Okay. I need to share again. Boom. Share. So the next part of the Gust profile is a couple of other things. So pitch deck, team, and executive summary. So the pitch deck, we kind of already went through it. There is a whole like LinkedIn article that I have published and that you can access it super easily. If somebody asks a question, then I'll put that into the chat later on. But all essentials covered in a 10 to 12 pitch deck. Tight language, succinct business plan. So what's interesting, I get this question a lot. Should I just do my send ahead? It's the send ahead deck. Should I do my 5-minute pitch, my 3-minute pitch, what I pitch in the video, right? So what I've seen over the years is just have the 10 to 12 pitch deck, traditional pitch deck that has all of the verticals that you need to go through in a pitch deck. I would err a little bit on a send ahead, right? Is a send ahead deck typically is slightly more text in your presentation than, let's say, you given the presentation today. It's going to be less text. You want to walk somebody through it. Just add a tiny bit more text so that everything is laid out perfectly. The reason why I say tiny bit is because if you're putting the video together and that video has certain, let's say, slides that have very minimal text, and then your pitch deck has so much more text, then it's like, well, wait a minute, which one should I be looking at? So if it's just a slightly more text than what you're delivering in your video, that's okay, right? Investors understand that you're going to give them a send ahead, and that is allowable basically. So that's why I say a little bit more text as a send ahead, 10 to 12 pitch deck, instead of, say, you are trying to do the video that is 2 to 3 minutes, you want to carve it down to maybe only 5 or 6 slides. You want to increase those slides to 10 to 12 for that pitch deck that's uploaded onto the platform. So I just want to be very crystal clear on that. The team, we've already kind of talked it over, should have profiles filled out. And those profiles, which I did not say this because that's why I put this in the deck, is it should be the same as LinkedIn. I have seen descriptions of, oh my gosh, the CTO is amazing. Like he's done this and he's done that. And what about this? And what about that in the Gust? Because you're trying to like amp up your leadership team. And then I click on LinkedIn, or I try to find him in the due diligence process, and like nothing is mentioned about what he does, or that it's not even mentioned that he is the CTO of the company that you're pitching. So just make sure, again, transparency, sincerity, is that they align, right? Whatever you're putting in the Gust profile aligns with LinkedIn. If you want to put a little bit more in the Gust because you're trying to convince an investor, then talk to your team saying, hey, I'm mentioning that you were here, there, and everywhere. Can you actually, matchy that to LinkedIn? That's a really easy fix. And people who are at the C level should actually have it in their LinkedIn. I know people ask me all the time, well, we're incognito. We don't want anybody to know because I'm actually at another company. That's okay, right? If it's going to like make you lose your job, but maybe write in the description on Gust saying currently at another company or currently at a competitor, or don't add them, right? And say that, it's a fractional CTO, or that it's an incognito CTO. You can't put all those things in. It's just, you want to be as transparent as possible. Next up is executive summary. We went through it a little bit in like the description of what we were going through, some of the profiles. I'll go back and give you examples, but make it easy for investors to understand your competitive advantage overall. They're seeing the whole executive summary. As you're putting it into the profile, it's little chunks of information, but make sure after you put in all of those chunks, you go back and see, is this a good overall view of my company? Yes, awesome. I love it. I'm a little old school. I like actually printing it out, the executive summary, because you can actually click and get a PDF of it, see it printed out, because undoubtedly 50% of those investors are going to print it, and they're going to have it kind of laid out when they're evaluating you. They're old school too, right? So just making sure that it kind of looks the same and looks overall, the information is the same. Make it easy for them to compare with other startups that they're evaluating, and share your startup with other investors. So if you're very complicated and very technical, they might take that executive summary and not even be able to talk to their buddy next door to them saying, hey, I just learned about this company. Oh, their competitive advantage is this. But I really don't understand it at all. You don't want that. You want them to be like, my gosh, I'm seeing this company on this Gust platform at San Diego Angel Conference. And you know what? They have gotten these these customers, they have this competitive advantage, and I'm going to invest in them because they're blah, 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 because they got that from the executive summary. Be as succinct as possible so that they can actually sneeze and talk to other investors. Yeah, so this can be downloaded. So let me just pause this and then show you an example again. Anybody have any questions while I switch on over? Okay, no questions? Okay, so let me get back to here. I'm going to show you AquaCycle's executive summary. So you'll see that these boxes here are what you actually put in when you're filling out your Gust profile. So very easy here. Oriana, had it as Dr. Oriana Breschner, this, and then the R&D team is led by blah, blah, blah. Sometimes you see it as more of bullets. Customer problem, very easy to understand. Products and services, Aquacycle developed a modular plug-and-play bioelectric treatment technology bet that saves food and beverage companies OpEx of 20 to 60%. Right, very succinct, understands that. And she can go in, I mean, she had like a 15 plus years of postdoc experience and then commercializing it. She can go really detail wise, but she's really trying to say, what is that connectivity to the commercialization of the technology? Target market, business model down here. Then up here, customer segments, sales and marketing, competitors, right? She took the approach of saying the competitive technology is anaerobic digestion, which is capital intensive, and anaerobic digesters. And then so kind of like that. So you can also put the 2 or 3 competitors that you have at the highest level competition, like maybe your direct competitors, and have them here. But she chose to do it more broadly, and that's okay. You're giving a snapshot here. And then competitive advantage here is the only technology that can treat high strength organic waste streams at small scale without dilution. Now I know what that is. That's super easy for me to sneeze onto somebody else. So that's an example of a really good executive summary. Any questions from there? Okay, I'll go back to going through my deck and going through the last bit of this piece. Let's see. Sorry that I have to go back and forth of sharing screens. I can't
I think you have a question, Sylvia.
Oh, I do. Oh, thank you so much. I can stop share. Thank you. Do I have a question?
William, did you have a question?
No? Okay, good.
Oh.
Okay, no problem. But thank you. Always speak up, please. Because when I'm going back and forth, I can't see that much. So let's just finish out these things, these last little bits. Financials always, it's kind of easy, clear and concise. Easy to see where you are in the development of your startup and fundraising. So again, it depends on if you want to get all the way to the finals. Obviously, you want to get all the way to the finals. But if you're trying to like get them towards a quarterfinalist or semifinalist, you want to make sure that that financial is super clear to see. That the financials that you fill out on the Gust profile, that little table, is the same as your financial projections that you upload into the documents. Again, transparency, sincerity with all documents that are on the platform. So make them so that also they understand, oh, like I know I'm not going to make any money for the first year and a half because I am a medical device company, whatever that is, so that you understand where is your development of your startup. And if that the financials align to what you're communicating in your deck, saying I'm at MVP stage, I'm at prototype, makes sense. It's super easy. I understand it. There's not a ding that you are at a really early stage. It's a ding when it doesn't make sense. Documents that you can upload in the document section are so many, right? So bios, product or tech deck. So if you have a technical deck that's maybe like 5 slides long that really dives in technically, you can actually add it to the document section, because the ones that really want to go techie, they're going to click on that and be like, oh, I want to know more about that. But then you're not overwhelming the aspiring angel investors that are part of a network that are going to be overwhelmed with a tech deck, right? A technical deck. Maybe there's a go-to-market strategy that you have as a one-pager. If you have a branded executive summary, that would be fantastic to have. And then very important with SDAC and any kind of angel group is that if they do have a platform like Gust or Seraph or anything like that, one document that has been used by a lot of entrepreneurs that I like, and I help them kind of create it and curated, is that you start a document in that document section called FAQs. So the frequently asked questions are the questions that, let's say, an investor asks you in your 3-minute pitch, or an investor asks you in a separate email, or your due diligence lead asks you 5 questions in the first email that they send to you, and then the second and third. You're just continually adding to this document saying frequently asked questions, and you can just say question from this investor. You don't have to say their name, but you say question was, what about this and this and this? Even if you cover that in your pitch deck, it doesn't matter. That was the question that was asked. You answer it succinctly. Then the next question, the next question, the next question, so that investors can go to that one document and they see all the questions that their investment group has asked you, and that you have been responsive, transparent, sincere, and having a connection between the investor and entrepreneur, saying, I want to be so open that I'm sharing all of the questions that I got from people. So very important, especially in the SDAC process. And then lastly is additional questions. Fill it out, right? Whenever something's not filled out, I'm like, red flag. Why did they not? Like, is it that they don't have it? Is it that they're not at that stage? Is it that they don't care? Is it they can't like function in the platform? What is it that they couldn't like at least answer them? There's no right answer, but just make sure that all of your profile is completely complete. And I have 2 more slides here that I want to get through, and then we'll just completely open it up to questions and get somebody's and workshop somebody's. So I wanted to remind people, and I said at the very beginning, walk in the investor's shoes. Understand the thesis of the investment group. At San Diego Angel Conference, our thesis is we get to yes. So we're not like nitpicky, oh, you haven't done this, oh, you haven't done that. We want to have a conversation with you. We want to have a relationship with you. And those entrepreneurs that really care about that and they show up and they answer all the questions, they typically go the farthest. So match the thesis with how you show up on the platform and how you show up, in person or virtually. Fit into an investor's box, right? So think about investors are like, okay, is this like company that I'm evaluating, is it in CPG? Oh, okay, it's CPG. I'm going to put it in this box. Are they a SaaS platform? Oh, I'm going to put that into the SaaS platform. Then they have all these boxes, and then they say, okay, my portfolio, I'm missing a CPG box. Oh, I would, if I'm industry agnostic, I want a company in that. Let me see who am I evaluating that's in that box. Or I really want to go more early stage, and you fit into that early stage box. Then they can actually evaluate easier, saying, I want to learn more. I know that you are in this box, and therefore I can ask you really great questions as an investor. So clearly describe what you are, what industry that you are, and again, some people are like the Venn diagram, right? Is that I'm in this industry, but I'm in an intersection of this industry. Predominantly, what industry are you in, or in what section you in? Evaluating a ton of startups. So they are evaluating a ton of startups. So something has to be catchy, either your video, your description, your underneath the your title, what your catch-all is, right? And then understand the process. So I'm just going to give you the process of SDAC. You applied, and the first thing we're going to do is get to quarterfinals. We're just going to cut them in half. Right. It's about 98 applications that we have. We're still accepting applications. We have to cut them in half. So for 75 to 100 investors to have to evaluate 100 companies, that's a lot of evaluation. We're going to look at the very top, like who hasn't filled out the whole profile, who has a description that is good and the video looks great and I can really understand it. They're going to be at the top. Right? Even if it's not an industry that they're interested in. So 50 semifinals is half of that, sort of. That's 25, and then finals is about 5. Sometimes quarterfinals are like 15. So don't quote me on these numbers, right? It depends on how we're doing, but the finals is 5. Right. And then we go into really deep due diligence when the profile becomes a little bit more obsolete. Right? We don't really go to the profile. We look at all the more documentation that we ask you to put into a deal room. So between application to finals, the platform is super important. Also know our rating system. So in the platform, I didn't go below what we were looking at there because that's proprietary, is that we have all of the investors are actually rating and giving notes on, hey, I met with this entrepreneur. I really like them. I'm giving them a 5-star in market, 2-star in product, 5-star on management team. Then everybody puts in their evaluation, and then that all gets collated into the list of applications, and people have 5-star, 1-star, 2-star, 3, 4, and 5-star. And then sometimes we do the 50 that we need to evaluate. We're going to cut out all of them that are 2 stars only. That's sometimes what we do, right? Because everybody has evaluated, and the collective evaluation means that we have these standouts that are the 4 stars and 5 stars. So know the rating, and this is the rating system for SDAC: market, products and service, and management team. So those are the 3 things that we're evaluating the companies at SDAC. Last but not least, I wanted to do the characteristics of a great Gust profile is that clarity, correctness, and transparency. I've kind of repeated myself over the last hour that we've been together. Is that first is the clarity of investment opportunity. Connect the dots for people in your description. Really be specific at this is the best thing since sliced bread, because we've been able to really understand the customer, and we're building something for them. Like really make sure that it's very clear. And then that understanding of an unfair advantage, why you stand out from all the rest of the companies that are doing kind of similar to what you're doing. Correctness. I have said this many times, and it seems like silly for the entrepreneurs that actually showed up today, right? Because you're showing up, you care about your process, but there are others that don't, and that's okay, right? But the correct information that is congruent in all documents available on the platform and public information. So the first round to get the quarterfinalists, probably they're not looking at your LinkedIn. Some do. I look at everything, right? Even to get to quarterfinalists. All investors are overwhelmed. They might be early, they might be late, they don't know, but they're going to look at the documents that you put on the platform. And if there's a little bit of like, why did they say here, this and that here? Red flag. Like it's a red flag immediately. And then everybody talks about it, right? Because everybody wants to see like, well, what are your red flags? Well, their thing over here is not the same as over here. Why did they do that? And you don't know. You go down the rabbit hole of like, well, it might be that they didn't care. It might be that they don't have the information. It's not the right information. Like, I don't know. Maybe we have to ask them. So you don't want them to pause. You want them to continue evaluating you and saying, this is a great opportunity. We get it, right? There's no incongruence. It's great. Transparent traction. We've kind of gone through this a little bit. State indicating, sorry, is that if you are early stage, you're early stage, right? You don't have the traction that other people do. That's okay. Just name the traction, name where you are, and that's where you are. And be confident and awesome about where you are. And have realistic valuations and transparency around like where you are, the production, the manufacturing, the team that you have, what the team that you don't have that you're seeking, how much are you asking for how much are you asking for it? All that needs to have that transparency and correctness that is easy to evaluate based on your industry, geography, and all of that. So the transparency is the last one, that realistic valuations. And I already said industry, geography, and technology readiness, right? If you are like an MVP, but you're like, my valuation is 20 million, you're like, what? Okay, that's weird, right? So red flag, right? And then we're going to talk about it and we're going to pause. We don't want to pause. We want them to be like, yes, they're amazing. This all makes total sense to us. And then startups are risky. Acknowledging that, being transparent with that to yourself, and knowing that an investor is saying, yes, it's risky. And you know your risks. If I asked each and every one of you as an entrepreneurs, you can probably tell me the risks to invest in my company or the risks of this market or risks in my customer are A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And you know them, and you need to know that the investors look at those exact risks and they still want to invest in you because they know that you are mitigating those risks. And you need to be clear with the mitigation strategies that you have. Like, yes, it's a huge market with lots of players, but we have IP that allows us to outcompete everybody. Yes, I know that customers are fickle and markets are volatile, but I have a stickiness factor with those customers that allows them to buy over and over and over again. And let me talk to you about that. See, you're acknowledging the risk, but you're saying I'm mitigating those risks by this much. And that's what you have to kind of should convey in the profile is that, yeah, I'm acknowledging that. I'm not just doing a propaganda of I'm the bee's knees. It's I'm the bee's knees. I know it's out there, but man, are we really executing based on the product that we have and the team that we have? We are the ones that you should invest in. So with that, that's it that I wanted to kind of go through. I would love to answer questions from anybody in the group. We have about 15 more minutes. 14, 13 more minutes. Anybody has any questions or they want me to review their profile publicly. I just want to make sure everybody knows that. Yes, William.
Celia, thank you so much for the presentation. I have a lot of work to do.
It's okay. That's why we do it.
Yeah, so my question is, I know you guys there's still time to edit our profiles. That's probably my homework after this year. What is the deadline that we have to get that in? Before
Stephen, I think it's the 7th that, let me go back to my calendar. Give me a second. We have a kickoff meeting on the 6th of February for investors. So I would say, and that's when they probably get the access to the Gust. So probably by the 4th in the evening, I would have it all ready. I've been telling a lot of my clients have most of it ready by the 1st. So you can maybe meet with me or Benton or another advisor to say, like, does it look okay? And get the feedback.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for that question, William.
Of course.
Ryan, sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm
It's
Latina.
okay.
I'm always like, and how do I say this? In
No,
the
it's
Spanish style.
it's a very strange way to spell my name, but thank you so much for leading this. I have a little bit of a silly question. So I'm currently
silly questions.
hiring. Oh, thank you. I'm hiring for a CTO. So this person doesn't exist yet. And I'm a little afraid that if I don't note that somewhere, that it'll appear as if I'm just like, okay with not having one. So is there, is there a way that I can just create,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can create a profile for this person, but is there any way I can state that I'm currently hiring for this person?
This is a great question. Kind of similar to the other question we had earlier, but I'll give you a couple of examples that I've seen. I think just you being like transparent, saying like we are seeking a CTO. If you're doing a presentation, that would be really fantastic, because then you're going to have investors say, oh my gosh, I know a CTO, this and that. When I see a deck and I don't hear anything about, like, it's like a technology company and the single founder is pitching and there's no mention of it, I'm like, wait a minute, like, have you considered this? So that's just like one step. The other step is, I've seen it a couple different ways, is that you have let's say your the team slide that you have for your deck, right? I've seen it. Are you a solo founder?
Yes.
Okay, so it would be just you and then maybe like a team and advisors or something like that on your deck, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I just want to make sure you don't have to say the whole thing, but I'm just saying it's you. And you could also do a circle that's like grade in or something like that. And then you say CTO actively recruiting, because that allows us to know you're open, you're coachable, you actually know that you need somebody, and you're actively recruiting. And so that kind of will allow people like she is thinking about somebody, and it's not just like an afterthought, not like, oh, and by the way, I'm recruiting. It's more like, hey, this is the ideal team that I would love to have, and I'm actively recruiting this. So that's one way I've seen it. Other way is, it looks like the team that you have right now existing, right? And it's like a little something on the side saying actively recruiting CTO, or that you say it out loud. So that's a little bit of a difference between like a send ahead and making sure that all the information is on one slide. So if somebody's not hearing or they're distracted, they're not go back to your slide and be like, oh, she doesn't have a CTO. What the heck? I just listened to a tech play, right? And it doesn't show there. So you can augment it different ways, as the circle with somebody TBD basically, or something that mentions somewhere on the slide deck saying actively recruiting a CTO.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. And then the other option that I've seen, I know that there was another one. If people are like working with a dev team, right? I have seen it also as that solo founder, whatever team that they have, and then like a logo of the dev like team that you have, if you are like, hired somebody, and then something that says like looking for the CTO, right? But that you have a dev team. So I've seen that as well.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna go and answer my own question. Let me see. I did not show you one of the examples of the document that I was talking to you about the questions. So this was Hera Biotech. Love her. She's amazing. And let's see the overview here. I'll just show you here. So Hera is developing a first non-surgical tissue-based test capable of both diagnosing and staging endometriosis. Now, see how this says the same thing, the overview? I mean, she's fantastic. I didn't even notice this until now. I would have maybe not had that. I would have had the same, like a different one up here. It depends. It depends on what she wants to do. Great start of her pitch. This comes up as her with the two logos of her, you know, the logos of her company and hers front and center. Like, if you saw this, would you kind of see like, oh, endometriosis. Oh, San Antonio, Texas. Okay, cool. And then down here, okay, great. Stage prototype ready. Okay, I want to look at it more. I want to listen to her video. And oh, it's only a minute. Of course, I'm going to watch that. Yes, let's like plus pray. So that's kind of like what an investor sees when they first see the profile. So then the pitch deck was here, very easy. The team, she only had her, right? And that, I think that goes to, does it go to? Yeah, that just goes to her profile. Let's go back here. So executive summary, great one. She had the one here that is more like a list, right, of her team, and then really easy way to kind of go through all of that like this. Financials were there. Documents here is that, of course, here's that business plan. I think in this stage, this year, you had to hand this in. There might be a different one here, but business plan, financial projections, and supplemental documents. This is what I was talking to you about. And then here, STAC semifinals investor questions. So she created a PDF of all the questions that she received in the semifinal round, and she put it in there, right? This investor questions was February 1st, and that was a quarterfinal round, right? So allows people that maybe have missed a time that they were able to like not meet the meeting, or let's say one person sent her an email and asked the same question that somebody else might be sending the email later on. And she basically, whenever she talked to anybody, she goes, actually, go check my documents. I'm going to always be putting the questions here, so that if anybody has any further questions, go and check it out. So that's how you can do it there. And then there's additional questions was that. Another thing here is like, you know, like she was referred by me, and a lot of investors like this piece. Who referred them, right? It's because it's trust, right? If I referred a female founder to STAC, it's like, well, she might have worked with them because, you know, I run a female-led accelerator, right? So they're like, oh, okay, interesting. She's here for a reason. Sylvia referred. Or if Misty referred somebody, oh, wow, why did she do it? She's running the whole Free Enterprise Institute. She's going to refer here. Oh, Amy referred them. Oh, Amy's a director of SBDC. Oh, they're supported by SBDC. I want to see a little bit more about this company. So know that all of those things build that trust up and allow you to be the best self that you can. So I'll stop sharing here. Any other questions? We have about 4 more minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
I do. I have a question about so if you get a chance to, if you make the semifinals or quarterfinals, then you get a chance at that point to do more with your application at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's part of the
you can always
process.
You can always be updating it. That's why you can update those PDFs. If something happens, let's say you bring in some investor money, you can actually tell Misty or Amy, and they send an announcement out to all the investors, because we have like a way to announce to all investors, hey, this is what happened. She just got some investment in. That's a great success metric for this entrepreneur. So we can, you know, you can edit it, and then we can send out information as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Hopefully this was good for you to be able to go through what it means to go through a Gust profile. And hopefully this was instrumental to you to see like the ins and outs of like what it means to build it out, some things to consider with that investor mindset, with that walking in their shoes. Why are they looking at it? There's always a reason why there's a piece of information in that profile. And lastly is like the clarity and transparency and the correctness of your profile, so that you put your best foot forwards. So hopefully this helped. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm an advisor at the SBDC. We have a plethora of advisors. I know that in my deck I had more information about that. If you do not have access to what the Brink does, wait a minute, I have it up here. And know that we are available to you. We are a network of advisors, network of people who want you to be successful. So with that, I'll end here, 1 minute short, and have a great rest of your day and week, and get those Gust profiles edited and polished. And we're here to serve, to make sure that it's polished in the best light possible. So thanks, everybody. Bye.